Hi there, this is Laurie Jinkins, and I proudly represent the 27th Legislative District, which is most of the city of Tacoma, all of Ruston, and a little bit of Fife. I'm here today in the Capitol and want to talk to you a little bit about the budgets that we're working on right now. There are three budgets that the legislature has to pass before we adjourn for the interim. The first one is the transportation budget, which funds all of our road building, road maintenance, and our ferry system, and hopefully increasingly our mass transit system. The second one is our capital budget, which funds the building of all of our school buildings, whether that's our K-12 school buildings or our higher ed school buildings. It also funds much of the infrastructure that you see every day in your community. The third budget is the state's operating budget. I sit on the House Appropriations Committee, and that's the place where we really work on our state operating budget. So far, both the House and the Senate have passed operating budgets, but they're pretty far apart in terms of how they fund state government. So what we'll be doing now is going into something called a conference committee, where the lead budget writers in the House meet with the lead budget writers in the Senate, and they try to come together and have one final agreed upon budget. There's a lot of details in this operating budget, and so it's hard to pour through all of them and to know what to say to you about it. But I guess I could tell you that there are three big areas that I'm going to be looking at when that final budget comes out. And there'll be three of the things that I really pay attention to as I decide whether or not I should vote for the final budget. The first is it balanced? The second, is it fair? And the third, is it sustainable? When I talk about balance, I mean that we have got to fund our kids' education, but we cannot fund it at the expense of our senior citizens, of disabled people. We can't send kids to school who are hungry or homeless because we know they can't learn if that's what we do. We've got to make sure that we have balance in our budget, that our K-12 system, our higher education system, our social safety net, and our environmental responsibilities are well funded in Washington State. That's what balance means to me. When I talk about fairness, I really mean that in Washington State, everyone should be paying their fair share to bring that kind of balanced budget to us. We've had many citizens groups and other organizations look at the over 600 tax loopholes that we have in this state, and they've given us very strong recommendations on some of those tax loopholes that are just not doing anything for us and should be closed. I think it's important that we close some of those loopholes, especially the ones that a Citizens Commission and our Audit Review Committee have told us are not doing anything for Washingtonians. So I'll be watching to make sure we do that, because in the end, when we give someone a tax break, we're saying that that tax break is more important to this state than educating our kids. And that's the comparison that I'll be making as we look at those things. The final thing is sustainability. It's very important that we make sure we're not doing gimmicky things to fund our state government operations. There are always going to be little one-time savings that budget writers on both sides rely on. But we have to make sure that those are very small and we're not doing those things for ongoing costs. As an example, many of you, I'm sure, filed your income tax returns recently, and hopefully some of you are getting some money back from the federal government. You cannot fund your 30-year mortgage on your house with a single tax return, one-time savings that you get back. You might be able to pay for 1 month, but you can't pay for all the operations for your house. We need to make sure that we're not doing that in our state budget this year. So those are the three things that I'll focus on as we look at the state budget in the coming weeks. I'd be really interested to know what things you're going to be looking at and what you would like me to look at. So please do email me or phone my legislative office. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you.